And you know what's hard for me? I'm gonna be honest. I don't talk in sound bites. Like, I know you'll go back and you'll edit this out, right? And you'll make it whatever it's supposed to be. But I can't get on a reel and give you 7 seconds.
Right.
Of hooks
you got
and
a big concept, big ideas, right? It takes longer to
explain it.
I think a lot of people set out to be entrepreneurs, but a lot of us get trapped in creating our own jobs to where we don't scale them to where we can step back from them. And I think that's a hard part too. I struggled with that with my gym and that's the reason why I shut it down, because I got burnt out. I was doing everything in that business. Yeah. I didn't know how to scale that business, hire help, here. I think that's another trap people fall into. To where they can't scale, they don't hire help. So they become the job, they become the business.
Yeah.
And they can't step away from it. And
that's so true.
That's a struggle.
I think that for me, that's what's so important to me about the coaching and the work that I do, because I'm not teaching you to become a job, right? I'm teaching you to create an income. But you always need to be thinking about like the foundation that you're building, and also where is it that I want to go? So if I know, like even with Unpause Your Dreams, I have a very robust plan for how we're going to scale and new lines of business and all this stuff. And yes, it will be my legacy, but I also know that the time limit that I have for it and that I'm going to work it, right? Before I eventually either sell it or transfer it on to my children. So I think you have to start with the end in mind. And I think this is the importance of also getting coaching, right? Because you may be somebody that's resourceful, you may be somebody that is a go-getter and will go out there and get the money, start the business, do the thing, but you're not naturally built to think about, okay, this is my business. How do I run it? How do I scale it? How do I set it up? And most of us are in scarcity mindset, right? Yeah. So like Jess, that I said earlier in the thing, Jessica's recording and I was waving to her, but Jessica was my first hire, right? And I'm not at a place that like this studio is even breaking even. So according to what we would think naturally is like, you don't hire yet. Yeah. Like that's not the time. But I'm like, okay, I need to hire Jessica because I need somebody to come in and do the foundational things so that I can go do the money-making things, right? Because I need to be creating foundation while I'm trying to scale. Because the worst time to try to create the foundation is after you've already gotten big. You need to go back and do it now. But you also have to put boundaries in place. I don't believe in that 24/7 work life. I'm not doing it. Right? I'm not going to be the job and be working around the clock, because for all of that, I could have stayed in corporate. I made great money working in corporate America. Why wouldn't I stay there and work 60 hours a week and have benefits and a guaranteed paycheck? Right? Why would I come work for myself to work 60 hours a week on a maybe, right? With uncertain income, right? No health insurance. Well, I have health insurance, but I went through healthcare.gov, right? Like I had to do the things. Why wouldn't I stay in corporate and get the guarantees of all of those things if I wanted to come work 60 hours a week for myself to get less than the paycheck that I got at corporate? I wouldn't. I'm working for myself because I believe in me. I believe in building the dream, but the dream is not me being the job.
Right. Man, I so feel that.
It's so true though, because you so many people, and that's a culture too though, right? That's a mindset thing, because everybody tells you, oh, if you're an entrepreneur, you gotta work all the time. No, you don't.
Right. You're right.
You don't. Because what if hiring one person frees you up from doing the stuff that you hate to do so that you can go be creative and make more money, right? Because that's a business decision. The business decision is, what if one hire costs me this much, but it makes me this much?
Yeah.
That's why you hire early. Because you may be looking like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to pay Jessica before I pay me, right? But that's okay, because Jessica's return on investment should be substantial. Yeah. And if it's not, then you gotta look at the hire that you made and go back and make a business decision and do something differently.
Or change their role, maybe.
Maybe change that role, but it's a business decision, right? Like, is this person in the right place? Are they doing the right thing? Right? Yeah. And make the decision, because you are a business owner and all decisions come from you. It's strategy.
So that's good. Tell me about this space. Like, what kind of events have you seen held here?
So this space is really, it's a creative space. So anything you can think about, you can create here in terms of workshops. We are not like a baby shower, birthday party, retirement party kind of space. It is all about like development, personal development, professional development, hobbies. So like this past weekend, it was 420 and we had a group in here that did growing your own edible flowers, not those flowers, right? But flowers and herbs for your cocktail or mocktail. And so they had mocktails here. For those of you that don't know, those are non-alcoholic drinks, right? And then there was a farmer that specializes in gardening that was here with like literal flowers, like purple and yellow flowers that are edible that you can eat or garnish your drink with, something like that. We've also had like vision board classes. We have business building classes. We have workshops. Coming up this next month, we have a women's empowerment mental health tour. So there's a national tour going around the country, and next month they're stopping in Charlotte, and they'll have local speakers, but it's pouring into women on their mental health and just really self-care. Next month we also have an event that's on branding. So it depends, right? It's any and everything. Whatever you can think to create here, there's space for it.
What has been one of your favorite events here?
My favorite events are the homegrown events, right? The ones that I throw because they're building the community, right? They are building the community. We have an event the last Thursday of every month, which is called The Connect. It's a women's networking event, and women come out and they network and they build community. And it's very different because it's not like networking that you think of, like go to somewhere and hand out a card and what do you do? What do you do? What do you do? It isn't that. It's connecting on like a personal level and then finding out about the person and naturally letting it evolve through conversation about what do you do, and then building relationships from there, right? Like women have left here with, hey, all three of us want to be in interior design. We built a group chat, right? And we're going to go shopping together. Women have left here and been like, oh, I really click with this person and I want to be friends with them. We're going to lunch. People have left here and been like, okay, this person and I are going to sit down and see how we can partner together. So it's really an incredible opportunity to build community and to grow. I love that event. And then I love our Bites, Brains, and Business Building, which is when everybody just comes to the table, entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. We sit down, we eat, right? We talk through what's going on in our lives, what's going on in our business, and then we pour into each other, right? Because as being an entrepreneur, it's hard when you're an entrepreneur and you don't have entrepreneur friends.
Yes, it's lonely. It's lonely.
It's lonely, and being an entrepreneur is a whole different thing, right? And so you're talking to your friends that work a job and they don't get it.
They can't relate.
They can't relate.
They can't give you advice.
Exactly.
I've lost friends.
Have you?
Yes. When I first started with my gym, like all my friends it's like, and I'm okay with that. Okay. I'm going here. And if I can't, it's okay,
You know what? It's funny that you say that because I've lost one friend too. And I had a friend that felt really funny because when I first opened this studio, I had just opened my Airbnb too. And for the first month, I was getting acclimated to having all these different things going. And so I couldn't just have random conversation. Yeah. So I was telling people like, hey, if we can talk about that, could you put it on my calendar? And I wasn't doing it to be funny, but I literally was not able to manage my entire life. And I had a friend that felt like I was just slighting her and being funny style. And so that's just it. There's no friendship there anymore.
Wow.
It's unfortunate. Well, actually, no, it's not unfortunate. It's not, because the people that God intends to be in your life will be in your life, right? And here's the thing. At every new level you go to in life, there's going to be people that can't understand that and are not meant to come along, right? And I think sometimes we hold on to people longer than they need to be held on to. And sometimes God just has something small like, okay, you didn't want to get on my calendar, be the thing to let them go. And you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Right?
So you say you're not a content person.
No.
But you open a content studio.
Yes. All right, I'm not a content person. Well, okay. Let's change that. I'm becoming a content person. I was not a content person before this space. I hated pictures. I did not like videos. I didn't like any of that stuff. But here's what I've come to realize in being in this space. I created the space because whenever I had to create content, I had 2 hours. I wanted to change clothes a bunch of times and be done. So I created it with that thought because I knew there were other people like me. Since I have opened the space and I've been like, kind of like, I don't want to say auditioning photographers, but I do have a list of recommended photographers. And so in doing that, I had to work with them and see what they were like. It's become fun for me. I realized that I just didn't mesh with the other photographers I've used before. And I enjoy taking pictures now. From the content creation aspect, I'm embracing it. I don't know that I love it yet. I'm going to start to love it eventually, but
so that hasn't
it wasn't a
helped
thing
you
before.
With your business, the coaching and all that stuff, like
What?
content. You don't use that as a way of, or is that just a business that just thrives all its own?
For coaching, really, my biggest lead generation is speaking.
Okay.
Right. So typically in my coaching, from all of the consultation or sales calls that I book, 90% of them become clients. So that's what I've focused on. I'm shifting to start being a little bit more out there and talking about my coaching a little bit more in social media. I think the biggest thing with content creation, and the thing that I hear in this room over and over again when women sit down to try to figure out things, is a lot of us hesitate because it's like, what do I create? Where do I put it, right? And how do I get the message out? And then while you're thinking about all of those 3 things, you're thinking, and how do I be myself, right? Like for me, I don't want to show up on camera fully made up because we're doing a video.
Right.
Because that's not how you're going to see me in real life. Mm-hmm. And for me, I need to keep it real. Because when I was in corporate, I had to dress like they wanted me to. I had to do what they wanted me to do. I have no desire to do that in my life. And that could either be because I left corporate, or it could be because I'm in my 40s. Because I hear people saying, when you're in your 40s, you don't care no more. I don't know. Either way, I'm embracing it. But content creation can be a little frightening for people, I think. I'm embracing it, I'm learning, but I don't know that I have it figured out. Everybody has a recipe, or they say, do this if you want, to go viral, or you want to increase followers and all this stuff. I don't know.
Too many people don't focus on Instagram. And,
okay, let's talk about that. So if they're not focused on Instagram, what should we be focused on?
What's going on, everybody? CJ Williams, host and producer of this podcast. In case you're wondering how me and my guests are interacting with one another, or even what we look like, wonder no more. You can head over to the YouTube channel to watch the full video of this show, or this podcast. The link is in the show notes, or you can head on over to Life of a Video Producer, the YouTube channel. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe to the channel.
I think if you are, say, Instagram levels the playing field for everybody, whether you've been in the game 10 years, 10 months, but if you're somebody, let's say you've been 10 months, you know how to take dope pictures, you know a dope videographer, whatever, you know how to create good reels, you can be racking up numbers, followers, likes, and all this stuff. Don't mean you know anything. But if you're somebody who's been in the game 10 years, you might not know the algorithm and how to do all that stuff, but you got the information. So you ain't racking up the numbers like that.
Right.
So what's this person to do? You've been in the game 10 years. You're an expert. You have advanced degrees, certifications. You speaking on stages and stuff. You need long form content. You need to build your own platform. You need your website. For one, your website needs to be popular.
Yeah.
It needs to be the hub of everything.
Okay.
People need to be able to go to your website and access everything.
True.
YouTube. And you don't have to have a fancy YouTube, but I think you need to have at least one video per month going to YouTube, because that content can work for you for years. Yeah. One YouTube video 10 years can be bringing you leads,
Yeah, that's what you've been saying.
But that reel that you put on Instagram, you got 2 days with it. After 2 days.
So you think we're all focusing too much on it?
I think everybody's focusing too much on it.
You know what? It's interesting that you say that, because at one point in time on Instagram, I kept saying, I feel like I'm the best kept secret, right? Because, and this is what I think is the challenge, going back to your earlier question with coaching, the coaching industry. You're right. If I know how to master videography or reels or short messages, right? I can grow my Instagram exponentially, crazy fast, right? And then you think that I really am an expert, but I've only been doing this 9 months. And then I think that leads to the disappointment that people have when they go purchase those products or those things from that particular person. Because I'll hear people say, oh, I spent money on this and it was really nothing, right? And I think that's a challenge, and it's a challenge that then becomes harder for someone like me to overcome, because I've been in this for a long time. And even before I was a coach, right, most of my jobs required me coaching and developing a team, right? So as a manager in corporate, as a leader, right, that's what I did on a daily basis. So if I wasn't formally coaching with the title of coaching, I was coaching because it was my job.
Right.
And so I have 20 plus years experience developing people, but translating that. And you know what's hard for me? I'm gonna be honest. I don't talk in sound bites. Like, I know you'll go back and you'll edit this out, right? And you'll make it whatever it's supposed to be, but I can't get on a reel and give you 7 seconds.
Right.
Of hooks
you got
and
a big
something.
concept, big ideas, right? It takes longer to
explain it.
So you got a podcast, right? That
I
should
do
be
have
primary.
a podcast, yeah.
I would have my coaching clients who have seen success, bring them on your podcast. That's a testimonial right there. It's a
That's true.
long form testimonial. Use that on your YouTube channel. So
That's
or
true.
website.
That's true.
Explaining all your coaching concepts, all that stuff. And then you can break it down for social media, like whatever for social media. But the focus is on the
Long-form
YouTube, the long form
content.
content.
But
Because
here's
you
the
can start at
question.
the top with the long form content and break that down, but you can't start from down here with these 7-second reels
And build
it up.
long
You
form.
can't.
You're right, because you know what I've been doing lately?
What's that?
It's just, when I say lately, it's been like 2.5 weeks, right? So I found an app, it's an AI app that I use that breaks my long form content down into little short form contents, right? And I've been using that and trying to see if I can post that on Instagram and generate some like feedback and some engagement and things like that. But you're right, that is it. And you know what's interesting? Because you can be, like you said, an expert, and you can have brand recognition, you can have all of the things, but you just don't have the Instagram following. And I was thinking about that because I was on a call with my email coach last week, and they were saying that if you have high open rates on email, it's because you have brand recognition, right? It doesn't matter what your conversion is, you have have brand recognition if people open your emails. And so I was like, oh, I have 60% opens.
60% is great.
That's what I've heard. So I was like, oh, so that's another one of those moments that kind of like with my marketing of the studio that I'm like, oh, I am doing something right.
Yeah.
And I think that's another challenge as an entrepreneur, right? There's so many moving pieces that if you focus on the wrong one, you can think you're a failure, when in fact you're doing something right, and you just need to focus a little bit more energy here to bring the two together.
Yeah. Instagram got people thinking they, either you think you the shit, excuse my language.
It's fine.
Or you think you are failing. I've accepted, my engagement on Instagram has fallen greatly, but I went 2 years straight posting great content every day. Nicely done, edited content, boom, boom, boom. But the leads that it brought me were people that weren't ready to pay me my full price. So it was like, man, I'm wasting my time with these people, with this platform, with this whole thing. So I just shifted my focus. Like, you know what? Let me focus on my YouTube channel, my podcast, all this other stuff, and not put so much even thought into Instagram. Like,
you know what? It's interesting that you say that because, from a business perspective, when we're thinking about like, okay, what's your content strategy, right? You think about who's your client avatar, who's your ideal client, and what platform would they be on anyway, right? I think though, I just thought about this and hearing what you're saying, oftentimes we think about like demographics, age, gender, all of that stuff, but we're not thinking about not buying power, but what they're willing to spend, right? Because you're right, because when you're on Instagram, and there are a lot of people that have $44 this or this, right? If you have a higher ticket offer, it may be more challenging, right? It may be. And I know coaches who have higher ticket offers that are doing well on Instagram, but it's not necessarily like they didn't build everything from Instagram.
right.
They just realized they needed to have a presence there too. Okay.
Yeah, I don't play with it.
And that's why I got my email marketing coach, because she's like, hey, let's make social media optional, right? Which is true, because if you're in their inbox, and you're the expert in their inbox.
You don't need to be on Instagram.
You don't need to be on Instagram. And if Instagram goes down, you're still the expert. Now you said something, so now I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
You said something about their website being it, and I agree with you. But what do you say to people that are like, you can build this beautiful website, but you have to be able to drive the people to the website? What do you say?
You can use Instagram and social media, all that stuff, but Google is your friend. You need blogging. You know, blogging, people don't talk about that. But
That's
blogging is still a thing. You know, you create even YouTube videos, that stuff, you can embed that stuff in your blog, and even YouTube videos will populate on Google when people search. YouTube videos come up. So if your YouTube video answers the question that they're searching for, there you go. And it links back to your website, there you go. But blogging, that SEO is important. I'll take that, and that's all I've been focused on, SEO. When I had my gym, I remember how am I getting these clients? How am I get these clients? It was like August 2015, and I was like, they was like, you got a blog, so I started blogging. And it was everything that I was experiencing at that gym with my clients and all that stuff, I would just be blogging about blogging. And I was making more videos. I found myself making videos. I used to watch videos, like push-up videos of other trainers, and I'd be like, why are they making push-up videos? Why? But then I found myself making a push-up video because it spoke to the very people I was targeting, the people who couldn't do a push-up. Let's make this basic push-up video. I think that's a lot of people. A lot of people overthink their content. Like, keep it simple. What are they struggling with? Then help them with that one little thing. Answer that one question for them with your content. Even if you've seen 100,000 people doing it, they doing it for a reason.
That's true.
They doing it because it worked.
And it is about making it more simple, right? But I think here's the issue. I think that for me, and for a lot of the women that I speak to, the issue becomes like, I have all this knowledge, right? And sometimes you're disconnected because like you can know your client avatar, your person or whatever, but you forget what it's like to be them and to think like that, right? Because you're like, oh, everybody knows this. Because like when you first said like, why is everybody doing push-up videos? In your mind, you were like, everybody knows how to do a push-up, right?
Yeah.
But then you had to think about it. So I think it's hard for people that are like, okay, I know all this stuff, to drill down and be like, okay, this is not like everybody knows this stuff. There are people that still don't know how to do a basic push-up, right?
Yeah.
It's true. So it sounds simple, but scaling it and taking it down to bite size is not as simple.
I get it. And it takes time.
That's why I can't get 7-second reels. Because I can't take a big concept and come down.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, I got more to say about that.
Yeah. But you should still have that concept somewhere.
I do.
Like on your podcast, so people can at least go find it. You know?
That's true.
Like, and that's a question I ask people all the time. I stopped doing social media content for people. I was like, so next month, what you gonna do? You're gonna need more. It's a hamster wheel, social media. You got to keep doing it. The more you do it, the more you have to keep doing it.
That's true.
So I was like, and one of my questions is, once we post, I need a promo video for social media. Okay, but then what? When they click, where they gonna go? You got a website? Do you know how many people are going to your website? What kind of it's a lot, man. And
But when you say all of that to people that are thinking about wanting to go into business, it sounds so overwhelming.
It is.
Right?
It can be, yeah.
Because there's so many moving parts, right? And I think if I had to say anything to those people, right, because they will be watching this video, I would say focus on one thing at a time, right? Like if you're working on your website, focus on understanding your website, get your SEO down, but understand that just because you're thinking about the outward appearance of your website, you need to understand the backward stuff, right? Like behind the scene, the analytics.
And it's best to pay somebody. Just pay somebody to do it for you.
But if you're not at that place that you can pay somebody,
here's another thing.
you need to know it yourself.
Here's another thing.
Here you go. Okay, I'm ready. Because a minute ago we were talking about hiring.
Stay at your job until you have this stuff. Like, don't quit your job. I want to go into business. Okay. Stay at that job, or get a part-time or something to pay for that website. That way when you leave that job, you at least have this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know you might not agree with that, but
Yeah, I don't.
You know.
I don't agree with it. Because I think, and I know from experience, that people have a long list of reasons to stay at a job, and the goalpost is always moving, right? I think that it's better to hit your target number for what you need in terms of dollars to walk away, hit that and then go. Because if you say, when I have my website, right, then you'll say, okay, I have a website, but it's not converting fast enough. I need this, I need this, I need that. And the reality of the matter is you don't need a website to sell something, right? You don't. Will it help you grow your business? Yes, but you can do a lot of sales on just having an Etsy, right, if that's your deal. Or you can do a lot of sales having a basic Shopify, right? Like, I think a lot of people think, I'm not enough, I don't have enough. And remember, that's what I speak to in my coaching. You have enough right now, right? You have enough. You've got word of mouth, right? You can go tell everybody in the world what you do and make a sale. You can't. It's factual. And I think if we keep thinking, I can't do this until I do this, then it's a limiting thought. Rather, I think you should think, how do I do this? How do I leave my job and do this full time, right? And then you create a plan that does that, and you work the plan.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because if you always think, because you're putting a limit on yourself, I can't leave until I do this.
I wouldn't say it's a limit. It's maybe just having to me, I would say it's just having a plan. Like, all right, when I have this, I'll leave. I'm not, I understand what you're saying though. But I would say I want to be able to invest in that. I want to be able to pay somebody to do that. And if once you leave your job and you turn, now the money is different.
It's different.
The money is different. You might not have that money to invest in those marketing things that you need.
Well, but then I think you sit down and you think about, how do I create that, right? Because like I said earlier, I didn't necessarily have money to hire, right? But then I think about, okay, what's the cost of the hire? How do I create that additional, right? Because being an entrepreneur is all about being creative. And I think that when we limit ourselves, like, it's always good to have a plan, but whenever I use language like, when I have this, it means I'm not enough right now. And wherever you're at right now, you are enough to do whatever you want to do, because you're resourceful and you're creative. And as soon as you get out of your way and stop thinking with the limit, you'll get creative to figure it out. So when you think about it, you just say, how do I create it, right? And I think that's the biggest tool that people need to know if you're shifting from working from somebody to being an entrepreneur. Because entrepreneurs, you got to figure it out all day, every day. And if you do all the things, because then what happens if I leave corporate and I've got the website and I've got all the things that I was supposed to have and it's still not doing what it's supposed to do? Then you're stuck. No, you got to get creative and say, okay, I've got the website. Let me look at my back end analytics. Like, what's happening? How can I drive traffic here? How can I convert that traffic? Like, what other things can I do? If it's not social media, can I use long form content? Then you're starting to get creative and expansive in your thinking to make it work, instead of saying, well, I did all the things I was supposed to do and it didn't work, so I'm a failure. Because it's not true.
I like that. That's good stuff. Anything else you want to say?
I don't know. I'm really enjoying the conversation. Once we got into it, I was like, okay, this is good. That was like, I didn't know what you were going to ask me. I mean, of course, I would promote the space. So if you are in Charlotte, North Carolina, if you are within a drive of Charlotte, North Carolina, and you are a woman entrepreneur or a man that is supporting a woman in your life pursuing her dreams, the Unpause Your Dreams Creative Studio is available to you, and I would love for you to come join an event that we have scheduled, book the space, host your own event, do whatever it is that you want to do to bring your dreams to life.
Good.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for the time.
Absolutely. This has been good.
I agree.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Again, this is CJ Williams, host and producer of this podcast. Be sure to head over to the YouTube channel, Life of a Video Producer, to check out the full video of this interview, or you can click on the link in the show notes. If you have any questions, feel free to send them over to me, email them to me, cjwilliams@ptmediapros.com. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in, listening to the show. I want to thank you for watching the video and subscribing to the YouTube channel. Until next time, everybody, go show up better.